What's going on, guys? What's going on? Now, today's video is gonna be a different one. Well, not really a different one. Still talking about the Raiders either way, but head coach Antonio Pierce held a press conference today, and now I don't know. I don't know if he will be staying or leaving now. I think, as a matter of fact, it's kind of leaning more towards like he might be coming back to the Raiders. So I'm gonna be discussing about that here today. But this is episode number, I think, 6 of the Raiders podcast. It is like episode 6 of the Raiders podcast. We're going straight through all the episodes. So we're back here today on another edition of the Raiders podcast, and yes, it's time to talk about the Antonio Pierce press conference today. Now, heading into today, I didn't really think Antonio Pierce was going to be. As a matter of fact, I did not see him coming back for this year. Even though it's still early, it's still only one day, it's still Black Monday, it's still a day after the season ended. This is literally only we're only one day in the off season, so it's not like it's like a mandatory, well, not really mandatory, but like it's not like it's like one of those things where it's like it's definitely not gonna happen. It's definitely gonna happen where AP's gonna stay, but the way it's looking like, it's kind of looking like AP might stay, and that's worrisome. What's going on, everybody? We're back. We're gonna be talking about AP because his press conference today definitely opened a lot of eyes. Bro. Now, so we're gonna start off with AP because this is definitely something very, very, very different and interesting, because Antonio Pierce, I was not thinking he would return. I did not think he was going to return. And although I still don't really think he's going to be back for next season, the chance of him coming back definitely has increased a little bit. And I'll tell you why. It's because of today's press conference. So, starting off, I'm going to explain Antonio Pierce's press conference because it definitely has a lot of people, including myself, worried. I'm definitely a little bit worried about kind of everything, because the way everything's kind of seeming up, pairing together, it's looking like Antonio Pierce might wind up staying with the Raiders. Now, today Antonio Pierce, right, at around 2 o'clock, I want to say like 2 o'clock this afternoon, he went up to the podium, spoke to the media, like the press conference, media availability. He had a press conference today, Monday after the season's over, and he pretty much just talked about the season. And there were some very key things of today's press conference that opened a lot of people's eyes. So I'm going to start off with the main thing, and that is about Aiden O'Connell, because obviously, if you guys know, at the beginning of the season, Antonio Pierce chose to roll with Gardner Minshew instead of Aiden O'Connell, and there was Antonio Pierce received a little bit of backlash for that kind of later on in the season, once we kind of saw what Aiden O'Connell could do once Gardner Minshew got hurt, because Gardner got hurt, obviously. So we kind of got to see what Aiden O'Connell could do, and he showed a lot of potential. He actually showed some potential, even though it definitely wasn't perfect. He definitely wasn't great. He showed some potential, but now we're like AP's response. So like today, the press conference, they kind of asked. They were like, do you regret making that decision to start? Do you think making that decision, like to start Gardner Minshew, was a bad decision? And he said, yeah, he pretty much said, yeah, pretty much. He kind of said he didn't want to go into it, but then he also kind of said, like, like, yeah, like, that was a bad decision. So, I mean, that right there, right off the bat, already, very, very intriguing, very eye-opening, opens a lot of people's eyes, and it kind of leaves a lot of questions to be asked about AP and other people, because, like, the whole situation with Aiden O'Connell about how he chose to roll with Gardner Minshew instead of Aiden O'Connell. Because if you guys remember, dating back earlier this summer, like during the latter part of the summer, the Raiders played a preseason game against the Cowboys, and they lost 27-12. And it was a preseason game. I didn't really care at the time. It was a preseason game. I didn't really give a shit. It was a preseason game, so. But they chose after the day after the game, they chose to roll with Gardner Minshew. They announced that Gardner Minshew was going to be the starter, which initially I didn't really have a problem with, because in my head I was kind of leaning towards Gardner as well, because I kind of thought that Gardner was going to be the better quarterback because he's had more experience in the NFL. He led the Colts to almost a playoff appearance last year. We went out in free agency and paid him all that money. And Aiden O'Connell just didn't really show anything that he could be anything really good. So I liked the decision to roll with Gardner Minshew. I didn't really have a problem with it. But clearly that wasn't the right decision, though, because clearly we could tell that Aiden O'Connell was the better quarterback than Gardner Minshew. Obviously, I think a lot of people will say now at this point, after the season is over, that Aiden O'Connell is the better quarterback than Gardner Minshew. But that was like the main thing that really caught a lot of people's attention, was about his answers to the question about Aiden O'Connell, about not starting Aiden O'Connell, choosing to roll with Gardner Minshew before the season started. And then another thing they asked Antonio Pierce, it was about the season. It was pretty much like, you went 4-13. What are some stuff do you want to improve heading into the offseason? And Antonio Pierce, the way he answered these questions, like, it seemed like he, like, was gonna stay. Like, the way he was answering the questions made it seem like he's gonna possibly stay, and he's not gonna be going anywhere. Which, it's still only a day in the offseason. This is literally the first day of the offseason, so the offseason has just started, so you never know. He could get fired at some point. I don't know when, but at some point here, probably within the next week or two, if it is to happen. But I don't know, dude. I don't know. It's definitely very touching, because what I think is gonna happen is, I think what Mark Davis and Tom Brady are doing, because they seen that the Patriots fired Gerard Mayo yesterday, right after the game, that Gerard Mayo got fired. And then so what happened was, right after, they, like, you know how they fired Gerard Mayo and everything like that kind of happened, everything like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, after they fired Gerald Mayo, I've been hearing a lot of people talking about how the Patriots could get Mike Vrabel, because Mike Vrabel said he wanted to be in a good situation, like, not in a crazy bad situation. He wanted a quarterback. I explained this yesterday, or like in my video that I uploaded earlier today, that I recorded last night. I uploaded earlier today. You guys can go check that out. But yeah, that I mean, he pretty much said, like, in that specific way, that he wants to be in a good situation, not like a really bad situation where there's not a quarterback. He has some pieces to kind of build around, like a quarterback to build around and make some changes with. The Raiders don't really have that. The Raiders are in a bad situation. They're not in a good situation. After those 2 wins, those 2 wins put the Raiders in a not good situation, in a bad situation. It's not really all those 2 wins, because even before those 2 wins, the Raiders were in a bad situation before that. And they're still in a bad situation, but the one good thing, though, is they have money. The one saving grace for the Raiders right now is that they do have some money. They have cap space. They have some of the most cap space in the NFL. The only team that has the most cap space ahead of them, I'm pretty sure, is the Patriots. The Patriots are in a better situation than the Raiders right now at the moment. So, knowing that, and I think what they're going to do is they're going to wait. Mike Vrabel's probably going to interview the Patriots for a potential job. Probably going to interview with the Patriots for a potential job there. If the interview, and then the Raiders are going to eventually interview him. And then other teams probably are going to try to interview him too, because there are other teams who need coaches. So I would imagine that's probably what's going to happen. They're probably people are going to interview him, try to see who could possibly be the head coach. Other people who could interview. Mike Vrabel for the job. So that's pretty much eye-opening already right there. That already right there is already eye-opening, at least in my opinion. But yes, that's like pretty much the whole word deal right there with Mike Vrabel. And if the Raiders, Tom Brady and Mark Davis, if they don't get Mike Vrabel, if Mike Vrabel doesn't want to come there, and they probably know Ben Johnson is going to want to come because maybe other stuff. They could interview Ben Johnson. If the Raiders could get Ben Johnson as well, I would like that. Mike Vrabel or Ben Johnson, in my opinion, would be great guys to be the job for the head coach. Ben Johnson is a great offensive mind. I think he's done amazing in down there with the Lions. I think a lot of other people have too, because if you remember, people interviewed him last year, but he actually chose to stay with the Lions. So I don't know, is he gonna choose to stay with the Lions again, or is he gonna try to pull out a head coaching gig with a certain team? Who knows? Pretty much, we don't know yet, but they're probably thinking if they can't get Mike Vrabel, if Ben Johnson doesn't want to come doesn't want to come to the Raiders, then and the interview process that doesn't really go the way they want, then and he ends up not wanting to come to the Raiders. Say that's what happens, and also say that what they try to do with Mike Vrabel, well, not with Mike Vrabel, but say like any other coach would kind of be too risky and it wouldn't be worth the risk, so they keep AP, which I think there is definitely a solid chance that could happen now, because now you're sitting at a situation where the Patriots fired Gerard Mayo, Mike Vrabel wants a team with a quarterback. The Raiders don't have a quarterback really, and pretty much, it's pretty much how it is right there. But back to what I was saying about the Antonio Pierce press conference, pretty much. So he was asked as well about his job security, about like, how do you think, like his job security, this and that, on one of the Raiders press conference teams, So, and then pretty much AP basically said, Antonio Pierce, he stated that no one's told him anything about job security. He said he was going to have a talk with Tom Telesco and Mark Davis about his job security. And pretty much this and that, just seeing if he was going to the Raiders. And then there was one thing that he said that really caught my attention today. One thing that really caught my attention today was about the 4-13 season, pretty much. And Antonio Pierce pretty much said to go with his gut. And that the 2023 AP or something about that coming back and him running the team the way he wants to run it. That, what he said, made me a mix of emotions. It pissed me off in a way, but it also kind of made me think, I don't know, kind of gave me mixed emotions when he said what he said. Because I was watching his press conference today. And it's like, I don't know. It's like, what? I don't know, dude. It just made me feel some mixed of emotions. I don't know, dude. It's just a lot of mixed of emotions with that, with everything kind of pretty much going into the hands right there, man. I don't know, though, because he was talking about to go with his gut. So, whenever he said that, my first question was, no, what about Aiden O'Connell? Because Antonio Pierce pretty much said that he regrets going with Gardner Minshew as a starting quarterback compared to Aiden O'Connell at the beginning of the season. So does that mean Mark Davis or someone in the organization talked you out of starting Aiden O'Connell and deciding to roll with Gardner Minshew, and also if you didn't go, you said you would go with your gut. You said you would go with what you think, go with your gut, but then where was that all season? That's the thing. If you're saying you want to go with your gut, then where was that all season? This is the first press conference I've seen out of Antonio Pierce all season that spoke volumes. Because every single press conference this year told me nothing. And all the way up until this one. Pretty much every press conference that Antonio Pierce has done all season has told me nothing. Until this one today. Where, there was a lot of interesting topics, a lot of interesting things that really made me think. I don't know, dude. It really made me think. I just don't know, dude. Because, if you said you wanted to go with your gut, then where was that at the beginning of the season? Where was that the whole season? You wanting to go with your gut. And I didn't really know what to think, dude. I don't know. I just don't know, dude. Because it's I mean, man, because a lot of people, whenever he said that about going with his gut, a lot of people were like, ooh, okay. Is this Antonio Pierce back? And yes, sure, I may be a little bit happy, I guess, that Antonio Pierce, that this type of Antonio Pierce, I guess, is back. Then cool, I guess. But at the same time, where was this all season? It kind of pissed me off a little bit, because at the same time, it's where was this type of Antonio Pierce at the beginning of the season? You understand what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? Because where was that Antonio Pierce kind of whenever the whole season was going on and everything? Where was that type of Antonio Pierce that we were looking for, that we were craving for, that we were hoping to get? You know what I'm saying? Where was that Antonio Pierce? But now we're kind of at the point now where it's is that Antonio Pierce gonna come back for 2025 if he's still here, or is it gonna be the same remake, same story, same movie as this season heading into next season? It has a lot of people asking questions, a lot of people shaking heads, asking questions, everything, man. So it's I don't know, dude. I really don't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, Antonio Pierce, and then hold on. There was one more thing. I really wanted to, whenever he talked about his gut feeling, I wanted someone to ask him, what does that mean? And then one of the Raiders reporters then asks him finally, one of the Raiders reporters finally, after all this yapping, finally decides to step up and ask Antonio Pierce, not to put words into your mouth, but what does that mean? Does that mean basically mean about Aiden O'Connell, about him regretting it, about starting Gardner Minshew? And he pretty much said yes, pretty much. I mean, he was talking about how he doesn't want to get into it, really, but I mean, like, pretty much similar last time. But he pretty much said yes, because he kind of shook his head yes. He kind of, his body language speaks. Body language speaks volumes, bro. I'm telling you, body language speaks volumes. And I can just tell that he definitely regretted it, for sure. Without a doubt.